So all of you, welcome to our Lobster Data Platform release webinar again, the spring release this time. Very grateful for all of you spending your time with us on this Friday morning, and happy to walk you through all the things we have released already this week. So today we have with us three speakers. It's first of all myself, Jetro Borsje, the Chief Product and Technology Officer here at Lobster. We also have Marco, our Director of Product, and Rick, our Director of Engineering, who will take care of our live demos as usual. So these are your hosts for today. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the session in the Q&A section of the webinar software. We will read them while we speak, and at the end of the session, we will answer as many questions as we can. You can ask them, of course, in English, aber auch auf Deutsch, so we can translate them and give you German answers as well. Both is totally fine, and we will make sure you get the answers that you need. If we cannot answer them in time in the webinar, we will do a follow-up via email with the additional questions. So without further ado, let's dive into our topics. We have 4 topics today which we want to dive deeper on. The first one is API Manager. So we released a capability which allows you to publish REST APIs, including things such as role-based access control, versioning, and policies around the number of requests, so rate limiting. Secondly, we will talk about our enterprise vault integration, which allows you to store your secrets, so passwords and certificates, in a third-party vault while still using them in the data platform. We will then talk about our enhancements to Pathfinder, our AI Copilot, and we will conclude that section with going deeper into the additions we did in Training Partner Manager. And then we will round it off with giving you an overview of the further improvements that we have been making in this release as well. With that, I would love to hand it over to Marco to dive deeper.
Thank you, Jetro. And welcome from my side as well. So looking on this slide, looking on the 4 things on this slide, API Manager, Enterprise Vault, Pathfinder, and Training Manager, they looks like 4 different products, but actually they're an answer for one question. And the question is, who should actually be doing all this work? Right now, in most of the environments we see in the integration teams of your companies are doing it. They're issuing API keys, they store and manage certificates, they onboard new partners, and also they're updating master data if needed. So every one of those is a small task. None of them is really strategic, but every new partner, every new endpoint, every new certificate rotation makes a pile for your team bigger. And right now, experienced integration talent is harder to hire than ever. The pile is the real problem. So 26.2 takes this pile and gives this back to the right people. And this is the spine of this release. So let's start with the most visible piece, and this is the new API Manager. So the world you are integrating in is changing. Your ERP talks to the warehouse system. Your warehouse system talks to your partners. And more someone from the business came and said, could we make them API-able? Could we add that to our AI initiative? Could we make it accessible to other systems? So for many of you, if you're an integration team, that means a new project, a new tool, a new team, maybe also a new interface. But not consequently anymore. Then 26.2 brings a full API lifecycle management directly into your platform. Full lifecycle. That means role-based access control, versioning with deprecation notice, open API export, and rate limiting per partner channel. And the last one matters more than it sounds in the first place, because most of the platforms let you rate limit on an API, but not limit on a channel itself. So picture the following situation. You have an API exposed to all your trading partners. They all hit the same shipment status endpoint, for instance. But one partner's integration goes wrong and had a bad loop. On the most platforms, now everyone gets throttled. So everyone have a bad user experience and cannot really use the API anymore. But with our per partner rate limiting, only that noisy partner with the wrong integration gets throttled. And this is a big difference between an outage and business as usual. So the integration logic you already had, the profiles you wrote 3 years ago, you now can expose in a managed, fully REST API. You don't need to rewrite anything. Your profile goes in and your REST goes out. Same engine, full governance. So Rick, over to you for a live demo for that.
Thank you so much, Marco. Let me put it on the screen. So what you're looking at here is our brand new API manager capability. So let's take an example here, a simple order API. What you can see is I have an API where I can post an order and it will call a profile to actually do something with this and process an order. And as Marco mentioned, like all those capabilities are in there. So what you can see, the first thing is at the top, I have this button that says assign. I can specify who gets access to what. I can do that on role. I can do that based on users. I could do that based on companies. And I could even do that based on my own custom logic. That works on one end on an API level, but it also works on an individual endpoint level. So I could get fine-grained permission control. Secondly, my APIs evolve, of course, over time. So the order API endpoint v1 was an older endpoint. And if you see it here, basically we say this one got sunset at some point in time. And we recommend people in our headers to move over to the new endpoint. So you can first do some deprecation and later on you actually sunset it. And last but not least, we've been able to add some meta information that we can share in our Swagger documentation. So if I now click on this, I'll open up API documentation and I will see the 3 endpoints that we talked about. If I go to my channels, I can actually see that I have a channel. And if I click on my channel, I can basically get the OAuth 2 credentials for this particular channel. And I can authorize here. So I take a client ID, take a client secret, and I authorize. So now this session runs in the context of this particular user or particular session. If I take the old API, I try it out and I hit execute, I will see I get error gone. So on one end, the documentation tells me don't use it, but actually you can see the same deprecation and warnings I showed earlier. Secondly, if I hit the orders endpoint, you can see I get a 200. If I hit it again, I get a too many requests. So we've done rate limiting on this very particular endpoint. And thirdly, if I try to post an invoice, hit execute, it will tell me forbidden. I don't have access to this very particular endpoint. So I know I'm logged in, but I also know I'm not able to access this particular resource. So all of this is really cool. And the only thing I didn't show you is how you configure your rate limits. And that's actually something you do in the advanced settings. So I have like multiple policies that I can have with multiple different settings, very fine-grained. And then on the channel, I basically select which policy you want to use. Marco also mentioned something about like deeper profile integration. If I take a slightly more complicated example, here you can see I have orders, and this order is actually managed by a profile. If I open up the profile, you see that I have an order in a very particular tree, and I respond with an order ID. If I then go back into my API manager, I hit show API documentation and I open up the orders, you will see that it took the very specific schema from phase 3 straight away into here. So you don't have to create your own documentation, it automatically imports the tree. And how do you build this integration, you might ask? Well, you just hit plus to create a new endpoint. You add some logic by clicking the plus, and there's all kinds of logic available. So I could on one hand call a profile, and I actually create a profile through here. But I could also do other logic. So you could do an HTTP call, or you can do any of the other capabilities that you might know from here. And if you click plus, you basically trigger a wizard to create the profile like straight away with all the requirements. So basically I go through a wizard and it allows me to like really build the profile in the right way. It will configure all the input agents, all the response units in the right way. It automatically allows me to create my profile logic in my phase 3. I hit save and everything works. Isn't that great? Back to you, Marco.
It is really amazing, Rick. Really cool to see how a few clicks can really change the profile here and can add role-based access management and rate limiting to it. Okay, now before we move on, I want to ask you something. We just showed you how you bring existing integration logic into API world, profile to rest in a few clicks. But where is your organization actually heading? I'm curious. So let's open the first poll. Do you see EDI in your organization involving in the next 3 years, or what is your situation there? So let me start the first poll and just throw your answer. Take a minute and pick the one who best fits for you. A really interesting race here. Okay, thank you. So it looks like that the majority of you said we are running EDI and REST API side by side. And that's exactly one of the reasons why we introduced the API manager here and why we do it, what we do it, because you have to use in both worlds in the future, or you have to stay in both worlds. So let me come back to my presentation, because this brings me directly to our next topic for today. And we have just talked about how you can expose the outside world. But the next topic is about how you can keep stuff inside and where it lives. So we're introducing enterprise vault integration. So whenever you're consuming an API or an AS2 certificate, or you have to store it for your customers, your security team has opinions about that, especially if you have a bigger infrastructure. And here's the scenario. You're a logistic company, you have more than 100 trading partners, each one of them has AS2 certificates. Some expires every year, some expires every 2 years. So today, your integration team owns this whole rotation. They get the new certificates by email, they uploaded it, they hope they didn't miss one. And once a quarter on a Friday night, your team realized that they missed one because the customer can't upload any stuff anymore. And then you have a hard time to fix it. Meanwhile, your security team has a vault, an Azure Key Vault or an HashiCorp Vault already in place. They manage any other certificate and any other credential in your company there. And they reasonably ask you why we cannot manage the Lobster stuff here in as well. And until today, that was not possible. But 26.2 changed that. We now have full Azure Key Vault support and full HashiCorp Key Vault support, full support for credentials, for certificates, including AS2. There is just one time setup needed per credential field. Paste your vault key in it, done. Really easy to handy. And Rick is going to walk us through the setup right now. So Rick, stage is yours.
Thank you so much. So let me slow down a little bit. I got the feedback I'm talking very fast. So what I can see here is I have the vault provider configuration. So the first thing I do is I link my Lobster data platform into one or more external vaults, maybe managed by a security department, maybe somewhere else. As you can see, we have two different types of providers. I have an Azure Key Vault and I have HashiCorp. and I can just hit plus to add a new entry. So if I want to have another one. Then once I've done this, I can basically go to my channels, and on the channels I can use this. So let me take that initial channel, and I might have a password here stored. And in the history, like in the past, you just change password and you type a password. Then it will be stored locally. However, what we say is you click on Vault, then you can select any of the providers that you saw created earlier. Let's select Azure. From then, it basically allows me to select different names, and these are different values that are stored in that vault. So in this case, there is this lobster name value stored inside my vault. If I hit apply, I'm now linking this channel to that very particular vault entry. And that also means if I hit view password, I will see I don't have the actual password, but it has a key like to refer to Azure key value and that very particular vault entry. And now every time we need this password, it will be fetched. And depending on the situation, it's fetched on the fly or it's fetched during startup of the application. And of course, there's a retry mechanism in place in case the vault is down. So we make sure to load it and keep it in cache. I could use this for passwords, but I could also use this for certificates. So if I create a new certificate, in the past I would fill out all this information, but what I can do now is I can hit external, and that means I can select my Azure key store, and in there I can select one or more certificates. So let me select this certificate, and what you see is the validity date is updated from the certificate in the key store, and secondly, the common name is also imported. So basically, like the whole certificate is imported. And if I now hit apply, I can use it as any other type of certificate, except that you didn't have to manage it here because it's somebody else in your organization that can do that. With that, back to you, Marco.
Thank you, Rick. What really stands out from that demo for me is you don't have to move anything at once. So you can vault one credentials by another, really handy. So no big switch needed. And you can really, manage however you need it. So far we talk about handling things for the security team and managing things in the platform itself. The next topic is about handing things to an AI or to our own co-piloting system, Pathfinder. So let me get back to my screen. And let's start with a quick history check-in, so to say. Nearly a year ago, with 25.0, we introduced Pathfinder. We introduced our first AI chatbot functionality with function chain documentation and the chatbot itself. And then in October last year, in 25.1, we add error log explanation and smart function search. This January, we complete the capabilities by text-free SQL and tone cron-tab generation. So every release, Pathfinder learns more things your team can leverage and help your team to be more productive. So, and in 26.2, we will add regex to this list. And regex really handy. Describe a pattern, plain language, and get the syntax or vice versa. And that's really useful. But I will not oversell this feature to you. Regex is just one tool in the toolbox, one tool more. But the real announcement on 26.2 is that we rebuilt the whole toolbox itself, the new Pathfinder client. So the skills haven't changed that much, but what changed is the look and feel and how you interact with the interface itself. And this is the groundwork we do for a good reason, because beginning from the next release on, we plan to add way more AI capabilities as we ever had, auto mapping and so on. And Jethro will give you more details about that later on. But first of all, let's see how the new look and feel in Pathfinder is really working with a demo of Rick. Rick, over to you.
Thank you so much. So here you see a profile, and the goal of this profile is to take a long text and split it up into two separate fields. First of all, you can see that I used a simple regex matcher to make sure we can extract some information. And here I have a regular expression that basically represents an email address, of course, generated with Pathfinder. But secondly, I see I have this example field that has like a very long gibberish kind of thing where I was like, not really good at regular expressions. I do not really know what it means. So what I would normally do is I would open up a test mapping and hope and pray that there's a very good example. And in this case, luckily, there was an example. So probably it represents a phone number. But if you want to understand this better, and if you also want to understand what kind of edge cases it takes, I can basically take this regular expression, put it on my clipboard, and I can go into Pathfinder. And here you see the completely new interface Marco described. And we can see it also now knows I'm at a profile, so it can really use the information of where I am at as a user in its answers. And I can ask it the question, can you explain me the regex? And I paste the regular expression. And what it will now do is it will go to our Pathfinder backend and it will find the relevant skill. Like we told it all kinds of different skills of our platform, as you saw in the picture of Marco. And now it knows I'm talking about a regular expression and it actually wants me to explain it. I can open it up and actually it says, this is a very particular type and it captures international phone numbers in various formats, including this particular sign. And it actually explains how this was built. So basically, it allows me to understand what is going on. And the funny thing is, I also started this very particular expression in this very same way. I started with, give me an expression for a phone number. It gave me something. It didn't work for my phone number. So I basically just said, can you make it work for this example as well? It opened it up and all is fine. Secondly, I can also do some other things. So if I go to home and I hit Pathfinder, you see now it understands I'm in a different context. And I can ask it another question. Because I heard something through the grapevines about PostNL, a Dutch cab provider. So I asked it, can you tell me how to integrate with PostNL? And now it understands the Lobster context, and actually it will go into our very new documentation system, Document 360, and have a look to see how to integrate with PostNL. And actually what you can see, if I enlarge it, it says this is supported through the CAP provider. So how to integrate all these kind of things. It even tells me like these templates are there, so you can use them. And there's a citation. So I click on the citation and it opens up the documentation in a new tab. And I see I have the Lobster CAP connector and all the documentation around it. So basically full integration from our platform and our documentation. So if you are a little bit stuck, you can use Pathfinder and it helps you with a good answer and it helps you with a link to the docs. Marco, isn't that good?
Really good, really good. So now I said Pathfinder learns new skills every release. But that brings us to a question. What would you like to build us next? So let's up a second poll. Pick that one you would love to see in the product. What saves you the most of the time? One topic you would use tomorrow if it exists. There's also an interesting race here. There's clear two topics who lead. Interesting. Interesting. Thanks a lot. This is really, really helpful. So let me come back to my screen and let's start with the last topic for today, about the people outside. So your trading partners, the hundreds of external companies you exchange data with day by day. In 26.1, we introduced Trading Partner Manager with a clear positioning. This is how you can onboard new trading partners. Clean, structured, and self-service. And you like that, and we get tons of feedback back from you. And then many of you immediately ask the next logical question. What about the hundreds of partners I already have in Lobster? And 26.2 obviously answering that. So you now can also import your existing partner channels directly from Lobster Data Platform into Trading Partner Manager and make them available via self-service management as well as you do it with your new onboardings. So the partners that have been in your platform for 10 years or even longer can now manage through the same interface as the new trading partners you onboard today. And there is another second piece who's really useful in this context. And you know the scenario because we talked already about that. Your partner emails their new certificate, for instance, for the AS2 channel. It lands in a shared inbox. Someone of your team picks up between two other sessions, a day pass, maybe 2-day pass. The old certificate is a few days from expiring. Nobody is quite sure if it really make it the cut. And if it didn't, then you know what happens. The connection breaks, your team have a hard weekend. So with self-service credential management, your partner is now able to upload themselves to the portal. So the whole approved change flow automatically into your data platform, and your team even doesn't touch it. So credential certification rotation is not a ticket anymore. It becomes a process that runs itself. And there is more, because we also add FTPS explicitly and implicitly as a managed channel. And we make it happen that you can move channels between production, development, and training systems. So you have now the full flexibility, even if you have bigger multi-step environments. But let me hand over to Rick for a more fulfilling demo here and for completing our demos for today. Rick, over to you.
Sounds good. So here we have a trading partner that I communicate with on AS2. I set this up in the traditional way because you already have connections going on, of course. But I have a problem. The certificate of that trading partner is going to expire soon. So if I don't do anything, my connection will cease to exist. What I would normally do is I would pick up the phone, maybe go into an email, and then do some back and forth, coordinate on a certificate exchange, all those kind of things. What I will do now is actually I go into our Trading Partner Manager. And you can see I already connected my Lobster Data Platform. So you can see it's connected, just like we did 3 months ago. And I have linked all protocols, like also FTPS and implicit and explicit. And from there, I can start to import that particular partner. So I go to LDP Partners channels, I select the Lobster Data Platform environment, and of course you can have a test and a productive environment in here. And it also doesn't matter for us whether this environment runs on premises or whether it runs in the Lobster cloud. In both cases, this capability just works. I click on it, I see my available channel, and I double click it. I select this very particular AS2 channel and I say, please send an invitation. And now it opens up an invite where I can add it as a new partner, or I can select it if I've already collaborated with them on Trading Partner Manager. It automatically imports all the details, and I can preview the email message. Some of you asked last time, can we customize the styling? Yes, you can. You can have your own logo, you can have your own colors here. So let me take this example. Hit save. So now it's linking it, and let's hit send connection. And now it's awaiting invitation. Then the trading partner, of course, gets an email. They create an account and they log in. And what they will see if they log in is Trading Partner Manager, and they will see notifications, completely new capability. And every notification is, of course, visible here, as well as that is visible inside the customer's email box. So every notification triggers an email. And I can see that it actually says this certificate is about to expire. I can also see this in my overall certificate overview where I see like, hey, there's a notice. And if I scroll right, I see this is 7 days to expire, renewal suggested. I open up the certificate, so I see the details of it. I can even see that it's used in that AS2 channel. And then I hit renew certificate. I can choose a new file where I select my new certificate, and then I can see, do I want to schedule it immediately for renewal, or is it scheduled because maybe somebody inside the team of the trading partner actually still needs to change it in their backend software, so we schedule it at a very particular date in time. In this case, for the demo, I will immediately renew it. I'll hit commit, and what I can see now, if I go back to the original Lobster data platform, so we go all the way back to the customer, and we hit search, you see the trading partner is imported into TPM, so now it's managed there. And secondly, the channel is managed. And if I open up the channel, I will see we're now using a new certificate. So no more hassle, no more manual emails and following up. The customer can do, or the trading partner can do this all by themselves. And next time when this certificate expires, the flow automatically kicks in. So all the customer contacts of the trading partner will get an email to upload the certificate. They can do that, and then it's replaced here. And of course, this is not only for AS2 certificates, like all the certificates that are relevant for the type of channels that we support in Trader Partner Manager are supported, whether it's a signing certificate or an authentication certificate, all of that can easily be uploaded here. Isn't that great? Marco, back to you.
It's really great, Friedrich. Thank you. So let's pull back for a second. We saw the 4 highlights of the release. For sure, there is more, and Jetro will give us a quick overview about that in a few minutes. But you saw 4 features: API Manager, Enterprise Vault, Pathfinder, and Trading Partner Manager, 4 different parts of our platform, all behind one question. Who should actually doing all this work? And in every case, in 26.2, the answer is not the integration team anymore. Security can now own credentials. Partners can now own certificates and self-service. And the platform owns itself the API governance. So this release is not a feature dump, it's a redistribution. Everyone is going to grow. More partners, more endpoints, more systems. And 26.2 is our answer for that. So how does that sound, Jetro? Back to you. And what else we have in our release?
Thank you, Marco. Yeah, I'm always very excited to see all of the things that we have been creating the last 3 months and then bring it to all of you as our customers. So let's take a look at the further improvements that we have. Exactly. So this release, of course, contains more than the 4 things that you just saw. First of all, we expanded our CAP connector to now include PostNL. That's a major courier express and parcel provider in the Benelux. So this is important for our international customer base. Secondly, we've improved and made it easier for you to restart jobs, to make it easier to test certain changes you may have made to a mapping using archived files. This was feedback we got through product boards or through our roadmap from a fair amount of you. So less clicks to achieve the same task. I think it's an important quality of life improvement. Thirdly, we have expanded our process map and touched up, let's say, the user interface, easier zooming, and some other things there. I encourage you really to take a look at process map. It's getting better release over release. What we also did is more technical. We now support the AWS signature version 4. This is important for authentication for those of you who work directly with AWS services such as S3. Some customers ask for this. This is now supported. Then, actually one of my favorites, although it sounds maybe tactical, is in-application restart. This means that you can now restart the Lobster data platform through the user interface itself. So no more need to go on the operating system level or create a ticket with support. Instead, you can restart directly from the platform, of course, with some security mechanisms in place. And this works even in high available or clustered settings. So if you learn setups, so if you run in a high available setup, you can also do an in-application restart, and the platform will automatically sequence this across your high availability cluster to make sure that you do not have downtime. I think this is a very powerful feature which saves you a lot of headache and manual work or reliance on IT or on our support team. And finally, more technical, we have updated our Java version that we now also support Java 21, which allows you to upgrade to the more modern and new version of Java, as of course we want to make sure we are on supported versions for the longer term. Now, those are our further improvements. So let's take a look at what else we did. And that starts with the Academy. So as you know, we have released the Data Hero starter training a few months back already, a fully self-service training online, completely free. It allows you to go through the learning path and get certified by doing the courses. We expanded it now, and we have released our second learning path, Data Hero Scout. This is a more advanced training path. Again, we have a full self-service, fully free version of this online in our Academy. I would strongly encourage you to take a look. It has some interesting topics lots of you have been asking for. So how do you do certain tasks across the platform? As you can see here on the screen, 7 more modules added with a certification again at the end, which brings us up to 2 certificates now. Now for Data Hero Scout, it's more deep. So we do also see that some customers prefer to have an instructor-led version of this, where there will be instructor with you to guide you through the learning path. That is also possible. Of course, that is for paid. So you can decide the free version self-service at your own pace, or instructor-led with a paid version. The choice is yours, but it is available moving forward. Longer term, our roadmap is that at the end of this month, otherwise the first week of May, we will also release an administration training and an installation training. So you can also get certified on those tasks if that is relevant for you. It could be that your IT team may want to get an administration training. For example, again, to the same Academy, an additional certificate and more training content available for you. Those trainings will also be fully free. So I think that's nice for you to be aware of. On the bottom right, you'll see a longer term roadmap. We are going to add more and more training modules over the next few months. And we always appreciate your feedback on which trainings you would like us to do first. So beyond the Academy, there's more news we would like to share with you. If the slide wants to move. Let's take a look. You can maybe click, Marco. Yes, there we are. The Technical Success Manager sessions. So as most of you may be aware, we have a Technical Success Management team. These are the best experts that we have in the business, and they work with a designated group of customers. But what we are also going to do for all of our customer base is do hands-on development sessions with them. This means that every month they will host a session where they go really deep in the technology. So this is hands-on building. The first one is on the 8th of May, where we will go deep into how you build efficient profile change, how you do sub-profiling, how you work with maps. So every session you'll see here is really hands-on building with an expert in the call, no slides, just really the technology behind the scenes. These are things you can really learn from. We'll also record them and share them later on through our Academy, but I really encourage you to go here because you can have a real interaction with the technical experts that we have throughout our company. As I said, we will do this every month, unless it's a release month, because then we have this webinar about the release we have today. So May and June will be Technical Success Management live sessions. Then in July, we will have another release, 26.3. And then in August, there will be again a Technical Success Manager live building session. We are really looking forward to this because this allows us to go much deeper in the technology than we have done previously. So I hope this is really valuable for you as well. Then, if we move forward, we can also take a look at what's coming up next. If you can go ahead, Marco. So, what's next? What will be in our next release in the summer? It's scheduled for mid-July. There will be 3 things, and one thing on the top here, the core will be around AI-powered mapping generation with Pathfinder. So many of you have been asking about this feature for a while now. And as you saw with Marco, we have been building up our agents and behind the scene also really laying the foundation, which we can now use to go into auto mapping. So we plan in July to release a first version of this. It will for sure be the first version. We need to really improve it longer term. But in this version, you will be able to get mapping suggestions live from Pathfinder based on source and target trees. We are internally very excited about this. It's been a lot of work, but it will be a very, very big step forward in productivity for all of you as our customers. Secondly, we will focus on the self-service Lobster Cloud portal, meaning for those customers who run in the Lobster Cloud, they will get more insight in their cloud environments, be able to do cloud restarts, maybe also things like firewalls and open ports. So to give you more control on what's running on the Lobster Cloud, because we feel that's very important. And finally, we are going to simplify and standardize our user rights and rules management. We know we have a lot of flexibility and power in those modules right now, but they can sometimes be complicated to set up, as we've learned from some of you. So we are going to make that easier. Those are 3 of the highlights. There is more. Please feel free to go to our website. The roadmap is there for you to see. You can upvote features, submit new IDs. There you can see what we're actually working on for the next 3 months, because a lot of teams are already fully focused on version 26.3. Now, with all of that, I will go to the final slide exactly. We also really love your feedback. Actually, today on the chat, we got some feedback items already on these webinars. So what can we do better to help communicate with you and talk about our releases? We would really like to hear that directly from you, because you are our target audience. We do this for our customers. So please go to the survey. It will only take 2 minutes, and the feedback you provide us there will be very valuable for us to shape these release webinars better and better to meet your needs. Now, with that, I would say I think it's a good moment to open it up for questions. So I would like to invite Marco, and Rick also back to the team here, and let's go to the first questions. Maybe let's
start with some German ones, maybe.
Yeah, we can do that, sure.
The one question is, I will translate it live. Is Pathfinder also capable to see the content itself of a partner channel? For instance, pictures they store or any kind of data they process to optimize their processes? No, at the moment not. We're thinking about to open up the platform via APIs so that you can use your own AI initiative to create this intelligence on top based on your profiles. But at the moment, Pathfinder is just a co-piloting system to help you to manage Lobster data platform, not to interact with the content itself, going through the pipeline, so to say. Okay, that was one of the German questions. I just translated live.
Perfect. Let's see. So I think there's a bunch more questions. Maybe let's start with a group around API Manager. The first one maybe for you, Rick. Can API Manager also do GraphQL?
Nope. That is something that we have under consideration. So the best thing to do here is if you have a strong need for it, is submit this on our product board roadmap portal. So Marco can take this into account.
There is already on the roadmap card for it. You can upload it. So this is as a feature request. So please. The next logical step, but at the moment it's not the highest priority.
Yeah, but if you upvote it there, this is exactly the signals we're looking for. So I really appreciate the question. There's another one for you there, Rick, about if we have an API schema, if there's an option to import that to phase 3, or do we have to build it from scratch?
So our phase 3 screen already has different import capabilities. So if you, for instance, have a sample JSON or other schemas, you are able to import it from there. Whether you use it for API Manager, yes or no, doesn't even matter. And there's also additional capabilities in the profiles to import. If you go to the documentation, you type in Swagger import or Open API import, you'll find it.
Cool. Talking about documentation, actually, there's a question here about automatic Swagger documentation, because it works with an API endpoint if it's defined within one profile, right? So one profile receives, maps, and sends. But what about profile chains? How does it work then?
So what I didn't show in the demo is you're able to actually specify which node you want to use for the documentation. So basically, depending on how you do it, you could say you take the root node or you take a sub node, and that will be used in the documentation. Secondly, all the profiles that it knows in the context of the API Manager, you can select here. So there's different things you can do here to make sure you can actually get the right information, and you have quite some advanced capabilities of selecting the right things. So you can support your multi-profile chain, or you could also say, I use, for instance, asynchronous profiles, all those kind of things. You can just select in the right way.
Let me maybe tackle another German one. So I will translate it. Can I use the application restart also for updates, or do I need to trigger that via the hub bat again?
So you found something on our roadmap / backlog. So our current capability that we've launched with this particular release does not do updates. So if you have an update installed and you or like pending and you hit the button, actually it will park the update. So you could do a fast and safe restart to make sure that, for instance, you free up system resources or you apply a configuration change. It does not do the update itself. We are looking into expanding it so you can also do the update through here.
Cool. And Rick, because I think you're answering that, another one to Vault certificates. Does the Vault certificates renew automatically, or do I have to trigger it somehow?
Yes. So the certificates for Vault are actually received on the fly. So every time we need a certificate for a transfer, we retrieve the latest version from the Vault. So this one is always up to date.
Cool. I think there's also a German one for a Vault, Marco.
Yes,
did you see that one?
let me complete that as well. The question is, are we supporting also Bitwarden in parallel to HashiCorp and Azure? And I would say no, not yet. So the way how we implement it is really generic. So we can add more providers if needed, but for now we're focusing on this too. If you think Bitwarden is really needed, add it to our roadmap portal, and then we can collect some data points there.
When we are on Pathfinder, I also saw a German question, and my German is nicht so schlecht, ich kann das verstehen. So
let me handle that as well. So the question is I think we answered it a few times already. Is Pathfinder also on-prem available? And yes, it is. It really depends on is your on-prem installation totally air-gapped, or can it communicate with some APIs outside? Because Pathfinder itself lives in the Lobster cloud. It's in our infrastructure. But if you have an on-prem Lobster data platform installation and you have opened up the right ports, you can communicate with this for sure.
And this is the same for Trading Partner Manager. So basically, the only thing you need to do is to be able to reach the public internet from your LDP. So so no complicated network settings needed. Just don't air gap it.
Exactly. Yeah. Final question, I think, for Trading Partner Manager is about can customers provide their own skills? And I like this use case. This person says, we have best practices which you want to validate a profile against to have more uniformity in. I can imagine naming conventions, for example. Is that possible, yes or no? Marco?
That is a really nice idea. So for sure, at the moment, not. But as you said, so we laid the groundwork with Pathfinder with the new client now to interact more and more and add more and more skills. And I like the idea. So let's deep dive into it and let's figure that out. So
Yeah.
definitely could be a
And
good
maybe,
idea.
and maybe to add to that, we are also investigating internally to open up the platform more through APIs.
Yes.
So imagine if you have a get profile or get profile by ID type of APIs, where we present you the details through REST APIs, for example. You can package it up in Claude. Internally, we are already doing some tests where you can actually get data from the platform. And then with Claude, for example, right, or whatever AI tool you use, you can also then analyze what you get and derive logic out of it or actions. This allows you to be super flexible, right? Because imagine that you can define any, as I say, naming convention you want as a skill in Claude and throw that against our platform if the APIs are in place. That for us is a direction we want to take also to provide you with much more flexibility while still having concrete guidelines in place in the platform itself. Not sure if you want to add there, Marco, but I think this is an alternative route to get to the same outcome.
Exactly. So yeah, true. That brings me exactly to the next question, unrelated to that, but are the TSM live session series paid or free?
Yes, that's a good one. Thanks. It's definitely free. Yeah. So, you can join it for free. Everybody can join the TSM live sessions, whether you have a TSM or not, because we decided we want to make sure that everybody gets at least access to their expertise in these live sessions, right? So they work with dedicated customers, but for those customers who don't have a TSM, you can still benefit at least from the live sessions. That's why we open it up.
Cool. So, Rick, a question to you. Java upgrade sounds like it's supported but not strictly needed.
Yes. So basically, that is completely true. So this release is the first release that allows for support for Java 21. We want to do this to be future-proof. That means the current release is a hybrid. It works both Java 11 as well as Java 21. That also means you don't have to do the upgrade today or to get access to all the other features I've shown. However, Java 11 is reaching end of life. So we will be dropping support there. We still are looking into when we would do it exactly. But it's very likely either 26.3, our summer release, or 26.4 LTS, our fall release. Either of the two will be Java 21 only. So I recommend to get the update done soon, but you don't have to do it today. On our documentation, if you go to document 360, you'll see the installation instructions for this particular release, and it will explain exactly how you should do it and what you should take into account, like for instance also updating the database drivers to the latest version. Like it's normal system maintenance, but you have to do it, and you can find it there.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I think we have one question. Maybe our friends from marketing in the call can pick this up, or two actually. One is if you can please reshare the link for the TSM live webinars. I'm assuming after this, we will send all of the people who joined this webinar an email. We can also share the recording with you, because it was the second question, is it recorded? Yes. So we will share the recording with you after the session. It will probably be next week. We can also include the link in that communication, and we will also publish this on our LinkedIn. And also, we will do a notification in the platform where we push the link to everybody as a notification, like please feel free to join this session. So we will distribute the link and the recording through various channels to make sure you have access to this. Because thank you for the question. I think it's very important.
And this webinar is recorded, and you will see that on our YouTube channel, I think, really soon.
Also, yeah, exactly. Let's see. I have to see a German question from. Do you see it as well, Marco? About certificates.
Yes, but I think this is a really special case. I'm not sure if we can explain that right now, but let's try. So the case is you have a customer who will upload a certificate, the certificate is still valid, but he will upgrade it early on. So he will upload it right now and say, okay, this is my certificate is still valid until the end of the month, but I will start with a new one to this special date, maybe the mid of the month. Is this possible or not? To be honest, I have no idea. Maybe Rick can answer that.
Sorry,
Otherwise, we have to come back to you.
Could you repeat the question? I saw another question coming in.
So the question is, imagine your customer upload a certificate who's a new AS2 certificate through Trading Partner Manager. The old one is still valid. And you want to change the certificate even before the other one is invalid, right?
This is possible.
Before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so basically, you can renew or change the certificate whenever you want to. Like, I didn't show all the screens, but you could, for instance, also say I upload a new certificate and that replaces multiple other certificates.
Or could I define a date when this
yes,
should
start? You can
define the date.
Yeah, you can specify a very specific date and time. Time is also very important. So basically, you could do it before expiration at a very specific moment in time, and you can also decide which other certificates it will replace.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Cool.
I see some more German questions, which you can maybe pick up, Marco.
Yeah, there's another question of a customer who is still on version 3.5.4, and the question is the profile still compatible to Lobster Data Platform?
So basically, I would say like from 4.6 up to the platform, up to the latest version of the platform I've showed, like that is a completely documented scenario. If you're in older versions of 4.6, then I would recommend to reach out to a contact on the Lobster side, so we can see how the upgrade path looks like. As far as I know, there is never like a really breaking change, but it might be that you have to do multiple update steps. But I guess it's good if there's somebody to look into this very specific situation.
Okay, there's another German one, really specific. It's about monitoring and PRTG. So, last time we introduced a third-party monitoring integration. And the question is, are we able also to see profile issues and other stuff, other process information in monitoring in the future? I can say, yeah, we're thinking about that. It's not available now. I think partly we support that. We support some metrics, but the whole thing to extend this is on the roadmap itself, and it's under consideration at the moment.
All right, then maybe it's looking at the time a good moment to round it off. We've answered most questions. We will do a double check after the webinar. If we missed something, we'll reach out. Two final statements from my side. I just in the chat put a link in the chat towards our documentation for the upgrade guide. There is a documentation there. It's actually a full chapter on how to upgrade through which versions. And yes, if you're on older versions, there may be some steps before, but this is all documented there. Feel free to check it out so that you have at least the foundational knowledge in place. And then you can always reach out to our services team, of course, or to our support team if you have additional questions. But the documentation is there. We recently added this to the documentation, I think a few weeks ago. So feel free to use the link. Second thing I saw in the questions, which I wanted to note, I think some people have an issue with scanning the QR code. If that's the case, we will for sure send you also a link to the survey after the webinar. We can also there again include the link to the upgrade documentation as well as to the TSM live webinars.
Yeah, no worries. You will all get an email.
Exactly, we'll all get an email. Yeah. With that, we would really like to thank you all for your participation again today. Very happy to be able to share all of this with you. And we are already looking forward to the next session in July, where we will show you auto mapping with Pathfinder. And before that, happy to see all of you in our TSM live sessions.